Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Dishin Days, where we serve up a full dish of this week's episodes of NBC's award-winning #1 hit soap opera, Days of Our Lives. I'm your host, Tony Moore, and I'm joined by my gaggle of gals. We have...
Me. What's wrong? What's happening?
Wait, it's coming in somewhere else, too. Oh, I see. There we go. I was like, why am I hearing myself? This is weird. Sorry, technical difficulty. Hi, everybody.
She's so pretty.
We have in full-on lumberjack gear.
It's cold. This is my comfy shirt. That's why. But I'm Michael Mattis. How are you?
And of course, from somewhere other than his house, we have...
Yes. Hey guys, Justin Hareld.
Realness.
I'm in a seedy hotel. Don't ask.
Oh, not a seedy hotel. First of all, you should never start anything with seedy because now we're just thinking all kinds of things. And joining us with her double shot of wine.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name's Araceli. I'm giving a special shout out to my prima who got me this wine glass that says, either give me wine or leave me alone.
And that is a good motto for all of us to live by.
I had no idea how well in hand it would come.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're watching us live, hello. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast station, hey. Make sure you like us and follow us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram, and _Dishin Days on the Twitter. The act is soon to be released and let out into the world safely. Make sure you guys also, while you're here watching us on YouTube, that you subscribe to our very own YouTube channel. Just hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell so that you're notified when a new show is coming up. So that way you don't miss anything. And also give us a like. Hit that thumbs up button to show us that you like it and love it and want more of it. Speaking of want more of it, if you want more soapy goodness, head over to JLJ Media on YouTube, where you can get your Bold and the Beautiful, General Hospital, and Young and the Restless fix by our lovely former co-host, James Lott Jr. So make sure you go to youtube.com/JLJ Media for the rest of your soap opera Sundays. All right. Those are the church announcements. What did you guys think of this week's episodes of Day? Oh, and later on today, we have James Reynolds, Abe Carver joining us to give us insight to this week's episodes of Days as well. But what did you guys think of this week's episodes of Days?
It's a solid week.
Fade out.
I thought it started out really strong and then it kind of petered a little bit for me, but it was good.
Yeah. Araceli?
So specifically on Tuesday, like, you know how like you start a show and then you have to and then you probably will go and get your glass of water. You're not paying attention to the first 30 seconds. I ran back to my room. I'm like, he did what now?
I think...
It was a solid week. I was kind of I thought I was gonna taper off, and then I was like, wait, what happened? What?
Yeah, I think this week was a very interesting week. It definitely set up a few things that are coming up, and it definitely kept my attention. And there were lots of discussions about this week that I can't wait to dive into. So let's get started, y'all. It's now time to start
Dishin
Days. I love that y'all wait for me. I feel like I'm on The Price is Right, and you can win this hourglass.
But we're not giving that away.
No, we're not.
Yeah, you could be a Barker's Beauty for sure.
Yeah, Robert Scott Wilson was the first male model on The Price is Right. He plays Ben Weston. Y'all know that. All right.
Who?
Right. Who he play? Speaking of Ben Weston, let's go into the first storyline with Ben, Ciara, Sean, Claire, and Evan Christian. Can I first say, when will people learn that if you know something, don't say nothing?
Yes.
The second Claire realized who Evan Christian was, I would have been like, oh, okay. Oh, Ben, you're waiting for Ben and he's not here. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just leave. Like I'll text him or whatever. You know, have a good day.
Yep.
You know,
I was how would Claire not know who he was right away? Was she not around
I think
when that
she
whole
wasn't.
stuff
She
happened? Was she in Bayview?
hospitalized? I think
Was she in Bayview during that time? Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense then. Because I was like, she should know him, right?
Yeah.
But it could have been
him.
Yeah.
But like I wouldn't have said nothing. Nothing. I would have like she's all like, hey, I know you. And then
Claire doesn't have that poker face though. Like that's very in character for her, like to know and to say something, you know.
And then she's all like, you're the guy from the gym with the Stairmaster. He's like, you know I'm the guy from the gym. And I'm like, if you can't deliver, don't say. Just be like, oh, Ben's not here. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna leave, man. I'm
just gonna head right out of here.
Right.
I don't know about you guys, but this whole storyline was like pure comedy to me all week. I was laughing at several different instances. The whole like psychic connection now being instantaneous when like Ciara was like instantly connected to Ben and she was like she was channeling her thoughts to him. I was like, oh, I just, and then when she broke the pipe
and the gas came out, I was like, this is what happened to what's their names in the secret room way long ago.
I gotta give it to Victoria Conifel for like the play acting when smacking the obviously plastic partition that she was pretending was actually.
I wonder if they told her like, don't really break it. So she was just like, like tapping.
And I don't know if you guys noticed the first couple of times she whacked it, you could see like she was straining, and then one time she hit it really good, and you see the mark.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're not supposed to break it.
Oh my god! But then the fact that she broke the gas line in the first place. Okay, like I get that she's never been a homeowner, but I'm like, it's kind of like this big metal rod that something goes through. It's like, it's like you're not supposed to break it. It has a purpose. It's not just there for no reason.
Yeah.
I
did at least like that they mentioned when she said like, I've been trying to do this for months. I was like, okay, at least they're like acknowledging that this isn't her first time like trying to like loosen the pipe or try to find an alternative way out. Like I like that part of it.
There's a 4-poster bed right there in front of her. It would have made much more sense to break off one of those stupid things.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing was like when she broke that pipe, I was like, has that pipe been there that whole time? Girl, just not trying to do this. Like so many questions went into my mind. And then of course with I was very teeter-totter between the like, psychic ability, touching his heart. And here's and you're in danger. And then he's like, I hear Ciara. She says I'm in danger. And I'm like, okay.
I know, same here. Yeah.
I
was just kind of
like you want it to be like, you really want to give it like that is so cute. Like I love that they're connected like so many of the other super couples. Yeah. But there are other times where I'm like, now listen, like I wish I could teleport my thoughts to people and be like, hey, like go get me some food, and then they go, hey, I was just in the neighborhood and like I went and got you some food. And I'm like, thank you. We're just so connected.
I also lost it though when Ben knocked out Evan Christian and then threw the gun at him. Like, what was that? I was so confused.
I don't know.
You're unconscious.
I don't know. I don't know. But that was a really cool shot though, because when he hit him, like Evan Christian like turned around and then fell. Yeah. So I thought that was good.
Yeah, that was
really played that one up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really did. But you know what? I still say I'm really sad that they didn't use the character of Evan Christian to his ability. Like I like that he's being used for this storyline so that we get an explanation as to what happened to Ciara. Although I feel like this should have been from jump and not with Rhodes, because I also like the Rhodes character. But I just feel like, for them to create a bisexual character and then not fully do something with that, it's just kind of, it's kind of like, oh, like I wish things were a bit different. Like I wish that, like he said, yes, he was with Sonny and like, they had the kid and everything like that. And then we saw like the love triangle of like, Sonny and Will, like maybe because Will would have been with Paul, Evan Christian would have been with Sonny, and that sort of tangled and how that ensued and how they got back together and then back, like there's so many storylines that could have happened. And so I'm just like,
yeah, wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah.
But I told you guys he was going to go crazy. I said it.
Evan Christian?
I was like, no way. Not for 1 second did I buy that he had reformed or that he was better or what.
And we talked about like not way back, but when they brought him back the first time and weren't he and Orpheus supposed to leave together, but then he bailed on Orpheus. And the question was, okay, did he leave to escape Orpheus or did he leave to like make his own plan, or was he really reformed? And I wasn't sure.
Well, he did help John and Marlena. So, I mean, he did that at least. He didn't knock out.
I really don't think he would have done that if it wouldn't have been to his benefit, though.
Done what?
Help John and Marlena. Yeah.
It was in his benefit because it was his way to escape. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all to his benefit. There was no reform in there.
I mean, I feel like for that moment, maybe it was, but then I think with him coming back, it took a turn. Like, I don't think they first saw like this, you know what I mean? So I think when he came back, he was just kind of like defiant of his father and just wanted to like move on with his life and everything like that. But then when he came back, they did make it, because, the show is good for making people cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs when they come back again. There's that. So Me World said, why are we still calling him Evan? Homeboy said he changed his name because he wanted to start over. That ain't starting over, Christian. Listen, he will forever be known on this show as Evan Christian.
Yeah.
Correct.
So Ciara is knocked out. Did anybody else find it? Okay, first of all, I was like, at what point when you're looking through the rubbish on the bed, do you go, she's not here? Because you literally picked up the last plank.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here as a viewer like, she ain't in the bed. Like, you want to look somewhere? And then I was like, how did she end up under the bed?
Under the mattress.
And I was like,
partition's still standing.
If there wasn't... The mattress would have had, okay, so she was standing at the window.
Yeah.
The bed's over here. The explosion would have had to knock the mattress up, blow her back, and then the mattress fell down again.
But actually, it would have, okay, so.
Too much thought.
So what would have had to happen, right? So Ciara is located here on the cage, right? The explosion happened here. So, and the bed is located here. So actually what would have happened is there would have been an explosion, which would have caused the bed to lift, which would have caused Ciara to actually go towards the cage, to which she actually probably would have been back against the cage like this, and easy for Ben to find.
And the plastic partition still stands amidst all this. Yes. The explosion.
But they're reunited and it feels so good. And like that was such an interesting little moment that when Evan Christian was pointing the gun and was going to kill them, and I was like, y'all take too long to kill people, so we know you're not going to do it. And then all of a sudden you heard a and I'm like, and my first thought was, who's responsible? Was that Jordan in heaven going,
right?
And then saving them? Or was that Ciara like kind of teetering between life and death and going like, don't you hurt Ben?
Exactly. She was using her spidey sense or whatever.
Psychic powers, yeah.
Yeah. So
pure comedy.
It'll be interesting to see if because Evan is passed out or knocked out. It'll be interesting to see if he escapes again and we get Evan on the run again, or if we get Evan back in Bayview, because maybe Evan's not done.
I hope not. I hope we're not going to care.
Marlon Wallace said, "It's like you trying to explain the car crash that killed Adrian." Because
we were
trying to do that.
They were going this way, and they were going, "Oh, someone turned around, and they were going this way."
Yeah,
that was.
Someone said Ben did the worst CPR I've ever seen.
It worked. I mean, he didn't really
so much.
do a lot, but he was also. I was noticing like they had Victoria in this like really small like whatever you want to call it like divot in the bed, and he was like trying to like maneuver around and he actually had to maneuver himself to pick her up. I'm assuming it was like a tight squeeze, and he just did the best he could, like getting down and
Bless it. Well, and then poor Sean and Claire, like so there, you know, the infamous. This is back at the apartment. Claire gave a as you know, Ben and Sean came in, and there was the whole possible hostage situation or whatever. And then of course there's a tussle of the gun, and then the gun goes off, and then you know, Ciara heard it and was nervous about Ben, but it was Sean that got shot. She did. Remember, she was laying in bed and she heard the and so we were all, and she was like, Ben. She did hear it.
I know, and that's why I'm laughing.
There needs to be an explanation. Okay, here's what I want to happen. I want them to kind of come out and say like, oh, there was a speaker in the room that was tied to Ben's phone via Bluetooth and the interwebs. And that's how they were hearing each other. Not this like other shit that they're trying to sell us.
I can't.
But I know that's not going to happen because they want to keep the spirituality or whatever of it up. But
well, they want to keep the connectivity of a strong relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
I get it. I'm just more of
I hope one day that, you know, I find my lobster and we're so connected that I go, I wish I had Papa John's pizza. And then like they roll up and they go, oh my God, I have this inkling for Papa John's pizza. And I'm like, thank you.
Pizza Hut's better, but that's okay.
Thank you. I think that means something. I don't know what that means. I see the kids do it.
Don't be doing no cake, sorry.
I know, right?
I see the kids do it. Oh
I see the kids do it. So
see the children's do it. Yeah,
the kids nowadays.
Oh, please no. I'm just getting used to the kids saying bet, like the reply to me, bet. I'm like,
oh, that's been around for a minute.
Yeah, but I'm just like
bet. It's like, all right, bet.
I'm like, in what universe do I look like a person that you reply that to?
How do you spell it? B-E-H?
No, B-E-T.
Bet.
But
it's just like,
what does it mean?
Like, okay, all right.
Yeah, but and like,
why don't they just say okay?
Yeah, well, that's one thing, and then the other thing, I'm like,
slang, Michael.
Know your audience.
You know what Michael matters?
Know who you're talking to.
Not around the kids anymore.
You are not. You are not. And that's pretty much what happened in that storyline. We're now going to see what's going to happen next week. Of course, there are some spoilers out and some people who are already like, this is what's going to happen. It's like, y'all calm down. Let's just wait, okay?
I'm just happy that she's finally out of that damn box.
Me too. Yeah. But the box, but listen, y'all, that little cage was nice living.
Mm-hmm.
It was cute.
Yes.
Somebody said, Michael Better said bet, and then Trevor said Black Entertainment Television. Not BET.
I was waiting for that.
No, wrong. Lowercase.
Let's see. John says, too bad Ciara only has telepathy. If she had telekinesis, she could have protected herself from
That's what I want my superpower to be.
Oh my gosh. All right, so let's move on to the next storyline, which I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about, which is Eli, Lonnie, Paulina, Abe, Theo, Valerie, Julie, and Kate. So
yes, Tony.
So first of all, I have to say, how beautiful was it to see the Carver Grant family,
the entire family,
in Julie's restaurant. You had the amazing couple, Eli and Lonnie, Senator with Valerie and Abe and Theo and Paulina and and Grandma Julie, and the twins, Jules and Carver, and it was such a beautiful looking moment. And for me, it was a moment of wow, this is definitely a progression. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but it's definitely a progression to see such a well-blended family and them, celebrating the christening of these twins. I felt like it was such a beautiful moment. Also latched on with some hilarity from Aunt Paulina, who thinks she's the godmother and they have no idea how they're going to tell her.
She just exits. She accepts exit stages. Exits.
Yeah, she's like, "Thank you so much. I now have some things to go take care of." But the biggest thing is, so we now got to see more of Paulina Price and what she's about and what she stands for and everything like that. Last week, I asked you all, what your first impressions were. How do you feel now that we know a little bit more about Paulina? What are your thoughts on Paulina Price?
Love her more.
Yeah. I like that she's pointing out things that needed to be pointed out, representation and not on the show. It's interesting how she's kind of the narratives are parallel with what she's saying about Salem and what has been said about the show for so long, that lacking representation, lacking diversity. And so while she's saying the town square, all of these white owned businesses, board of directors at Demira, white. And it's you look at the show and it's John, Marlena, Ben, Ciara, it's white. So it's interesting that, they didn't just bring this, and I don't know if she's a guest star, if she's on contract, whatever her deal with is. So she may be around for a while, she may be around for a couple of weeks, I don't know. But it's interesting how, the presumption when I was reading things was maybe they're just bringing her in for the christening, but they brought her in for the christening, but it's actually they're making it something bigger. And they're talking about something that needs to be talking about and that was kind of lacking. So I appreciate it, and they're mixing in some humor with it. Yeah. And it's not I don't feel like it's an attack or a hard sell, No. She's coming in as this bougie chick from Miami who's used to all of the diversity in the world in this little Midwest town, and she's just WTF, So I'm here for it.
Justin?
I went through a gamut of emotions, watching those scenes. First, when she sort of came into the square, it was okay, here we go. We're getting our scenes with Jackée. And
Abraham!
She started going on and on. And we were getting the outrageous character. And it was okay. And then Kate showed up, and then they went back and forth there. And it shocked me for a second. And I was oh, are they going there? And I was oh, okay, she's fully going there, not just kind of or tiptoeing around it or hinting at it. She's not just going there, but spelling it out for people, both Kate and Abe to a lesser extent, and to the audience as a whole. And I was okay, I'm vibing with it, I'm getting it. And I also think I was, I said, gamut of emotions. I was also thinking we're seeing more of her character. What popped into my head is I'm riding with her on what she's saying. I think it's interesting the way she's bringing it up and that she's bringing it up to her advantage. So we're getting a little bit of a bit of a schemer or someone who is willing to sort of use maybe use some hot button issues to her advantage, whether even if they're true. So I got that from her. And a part of me also popped into my head. I was like, okay, now I get why we have Jackée, not just for the sassiness. I get that we have this sort of beloved actress who's coming onto the show, and she is the one who is delivering these lines. And it was like, okay, now I got why they got Jackée to do this.
Yeah. And what she said, the line was like, oh, it's a teachable, it's a teachable moment.
Teachable moment.
Yeah.
And so they brought
no judgment. Yeah. It was just like, let me explain to you.
Yeah. Here's hi everyone. Welcome to my TED Talk. So I first of all loved and for a little bit, I clutched my pearls too, because I was like you all have said, I'm like, oh, they're going here. What I love is that they have created Aunt Paulina to be an outspoken, successful, fabulous, sassy Black woman. And they have brought her onto this show, and her character has pointed out things that we have thought about the show for years. And that it is and has been predominantly white. And I thought that was, first of all, I was surprised that the script went through and that, it was approved for, her to point this stuff out. But I also think that for a second, it's, as a fan, you kind of have to say, yes, yes, we've have characters who have been people of color, but they haven't been a predominant family, such as the Hortons, the Bradys, the Kiriakises, the Damaras. Even as of recent, Abe Carver was holding it down for a long time before they brought back Lonnie and then Eli, and then kind of put that together, and we've now seen this family kind of grow. The mistake that I have made the past couple of days is I have been seeing a lot of comments regarding the character of Paulina, and a lot of white women in these Days of Our Lives groups are very upset with this character and feel like, the writers should be fired because they have this character who's coming in and playing the race card, and they don't want this on their soap. They use the soap as a way to escape. What people don't realize is that soaps have always been at the forefront, also not only creating this world that, baby switches and comas and people coming back from the dead can exist in, but also sometimes tackling real life issues. And for the first time, it dawned on me why it's so hard for Days to progress in a certain way is because the audience doesn't allow that to happen. When we had this beautiful storyline of Will coming out, Will coming out, Sonny being, the first gay character, and them falling in love and how that love blossomed. There were so many fans that were so upset, didn't want it thrown in their face, fast forwarded through, their scenes. Why are they always in bed together? They weren't doing anything different than any of the other characters have done. I remember one time when Nicole was pregnant. I mean, her and Daniel were doing it 3-4 times a week. And I was like, get it, girl. And we praised that. Yeah. But because it was two men, suddenly it was a problem. When they tried to tackle JJ shooting Theo, something that was happening and something that was relevant, again, it was something that the fans didn't gravitate on it and didn't want to see. Now you have this bold character coming through and saying, this town is white. You have to kind of embrace that and accept that, because now we're seeing Salem from someone else's perspective who is not a resident of Salem, whose only tie to Salem is a niece. Like, she doesn't have like a full-on family there. She doesn't have people who grew up in Salem. She didn't return to Salem. So she is literally coming in with fresh eyes. So when she was pointing out even her conversation with Valerie and being like, girl, who did your hair? Because I know you didn't get it done in Salem. She's like, oh no, I have someone in DC that does it. And she's like, girl, I had to get mine done in Miami because it don't look like anybody in Salem knows how to do it. And then when Julie went to touch it, she's like, up, 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 up. You do not touch a Black woman's hair. It's like, race is an uncomfortable topic to discuss, but at the same time, as a fan, you have to take this journey that the writers are going to take us on, and also accept that this is coming from the perspective of a brand new character who, again, like I said, didn't grow up in Salem, only has a niece in Salem, is not fully aware of Salem, but did her research of Salem and pointed out all the things that we have accepted for 50 plus years about this show. So let's just sit back and take a moment and go, so what is Paulina going to do in Salem?
Yep.
Thank you for attending my long-winded TED Talk.
Well said.
Yes, and I will add to it saying I love Paulina just as a character. I mean, I think a lot of the criticism comes from every time someone says, oh, you're playing the race card, oh, they're adding in more Black characters, they think it's going to take something away from something, when in fact it's just adding to it. I love that she's so loud and matter of fact, because I think everybody needs someone in their life. That's Julie. That for the longest time has been Julie on the canvas. Julie has no filter.
Yep.
Yeah, and they had that whole conversation. Eli and Lonnie had that whole conversation with Julie, because there were times where I think it kind of went, but then we thought about it and was like, that was an issue, and it's not, and automatically a lot of the fans were calling Paulina a racist. She's the character is not a racist. The character is pointing out the lack of diversity in this town. At one point we were seeing the Hernandez family all come together, and then what happened? A sister died. The father went to jail. The mother ran away. The brother is in hiding. So now there's only Rafe and Gabby. You know what I mean?
And then Rafe and Gabby were off the show for 6 months.
Right.
And then I wanted to talk about, like, your point, Tony. You mentioned Will and Sonny and how there was a group of fans that were all against Will and Sonny. It's interesting to see how progressive Days was with those two characters, and how, like, Days just seemed all in for it. Once Will, realized he was gay, came out of the closet, Will and Sonny were having, like, just as steamy scenes as any other couple. They were just treated like any other couple. And then to throw a conflict in the mix, they hired Christopher Sean, a partial Asian actor. And so I was like, okay, not only have they gone full in, they're getting a little more diverse. And then Christopher Sean left. That was his decision. They didn't recast, whatever. And then they brought in Haley. So as they've taken steps in progression, but what's happening now with the Black characters and the expansion of Black representation on the show, that has just always, they can't seem to get it. They can't seem to get it right. And I feel like this is the first time we're finally, I think, getting it. They're getting it right, and hopefully it will last. And hopefully this isn't just like, what am I trying to say? This isn't like a performative action. Yeah. They're actually going somewhere with this.
Yes. There's a conversation to be had in daytime about not just showing diversity, but being about diversity. In other words, talking about it. I can count on one hand the mainstay Latino families in daytime. And rarely do they speak any Spanish. And when it is done, it's like 10 years too late, and it's not cohesive. And that is a problem across, it's not a daytime thing. It is across the board. Like for like little things, like mentioning who makes arroz con leche in the morning, and how like I can call my nieces honey or sweetheart, or I can interchange mija, mamas, little things like that that are cohesive, that if you don't live in the community, you don't know. And the reason I love Paulina is because she, as Lonnie has described her, is a self-made woman. With her husband is evidently a house husband, as described by Lonnie, that she is the breadwinner of the family, and she's from Miami. Miami is a very culturally diverse place. It's also a very unique vibe there. In terms of where people come from and why they come specifically there. It's a very interesting place to go to. So to have her, of course, come to the Midwest is like, I want to know more. I want to see like what is she experienced, and it's not a token Black character. She is a Black woman who has a very unique perspective, and I want to hear it.
Yes, and I think, you know, you have to think there were some key things, like when she said that she was from Miami, that's a culture shock for her to come to Salem and be like, you know, like, where's the diversity in there? Like, you know, and a lot, there's a lot happening in the chat room. And so what I want to say is that we're not saying that they haven't had characters of color on the show.
They always have. They always have. They haven't done anything substantial with them. They haven't been treated the same as the white characters.
It's
just that's just
in them.
And it's you know, and it's like,
be about it but not talk about it, in other words.
And I think what's interesting is that the writer, Ron, and the writers have created a character to really point out this fact. At least that's what I'm gathering from it.
And it's in a comedic way, by the way.
Yes. And it's also now like, what is Paulina going to, how is she going to reshape Salem? What are her plans, you know, as far as like, because now they've kind of set this tone and foundation of, you know, that I feel like there are going to be teachable moments through Paulina. And I think that if, you know, the fans of Days weren't so quick to say, nope, don't like her, she needs to be fired, get rid of her, I had high hopes, I'll be fast forwarding through that storyline, then you're not learning what the writers are setting out for us to learn from the perspective of this character. This is going to be their experience. They're bringing in something totally different, and it's a different feel. Like every time Paulina entered the room, there was a different feel, and it was like, you know what? We need this breath of fresh air to come into Salem. You know, someone that again has no strong ties to Salem, not someone that's coming back to seek revenge or anything. Like someone who literally is coming in to support their niece and be there for their niece for this christening and everything like that, but also is realizing, why isn't this town more progressive, you know, than in 20, are they in 2021 or 2022? They in 2022. Why are they not progressive in 2022? You know, and it's what's been completely frustrating me is that, you know, y'all know me, I'm a fan with open arms, and I go on the journey, and you know, and sometimes, you know, there is a point to the madness that the writers are writing. Sometimes it hits the mark, sometimes it doesn't, but you know, I think as a fan, you just have to go for the ride and really give it a chance, and stop saying, because you don't like something, I'm not going to watch anymore. And then when they get canceled, they go, oh, well, why did they get canceled? Well, because you turned it off, because you fast forward through it, because you're not giving these actors a chance to showcase what these writers are doing to help propel us forward. They want to see Marlena kidnapped for the 10,000th time. They want to see someone in a coma again. They want to see, you know, Kayla and Steve go on some like long murderous mystery solving thing. Like, let the show progress. Like, yes, we have these super couples, but like, it's time to like see what else people can do. You know, like John and Marlena can't keep doing what they were doing back in the 90s and 80s and stuff. You know, so.
That
they're too busy getting food poisoning from bad eggs. That's their life now.
Yeah, that's their storyline. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I don't think Paulina would ever.
I just want to say one last thing. I like the fact that when Paulina came in, she wasn't asking for a spot. She was demanding sort of her place in the town, and she was bringing with her success and her business acumen. And I thought it was interesting that she was having that hate.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, my internet's spotty. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Now, mind you, for all of the old white ladies that were in a tither this week, I highly doubt we're gonna get the same amount of facts that we got this week every single week. I think it's gonna be a part of the conversation. It's not the whole conversation.
No.
That's not how you do business. You can make it a part of the conversation, but business is way more complicated than that. Paulina is a character that stands on her own. She's probably going to go toe to toe with Kate. And mind you, I'm sorry, Kate needs the challenge.
Yeah.
Let's see this as a plus to the canvas.
She's
probably, I could see Paulina being really good friends with Julie, which is a bad thing for Gabby.
I'm excited for what it's going to bring.
Yes, and then I could see her going toe to Kate, and I think that's fabulous. Kate needs a challenge. I'm so sick of the Kate drama right now that's going on, and I'm like, this is like a problem she would have had 30 years ago. She is too old for this. Let's give her someone on her level business-wise, so she can go toe-to-toe with her. And I'm like, that's what I want to see. Two mature women going at it.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be, and also in this, I think Paulina has even already apologized for, like, you know, how she's kind of come in, and even when she was like, ooh, these are teachable moments, like she wasn't mean about it or anything. She was just kind of like, you know, let me just kind of explain to you why this doesn't happen. She did it during a commercial break, but she still, you know, but one of the things, Kelly, who I know, who's in the chat room saying that, like, you know, she just said something about it being in reverse. It was in reverse, and no one said anything. When Julie was making, you know, sort of racist remarks to Gabby, it went over everyone's head. No one in the chat group said, like, you know, I don't think Julie should say that towards Gabby, or maybe that sounds offensive. That didn't happen. But the second that conversation happened with Eli and Lonnie, to kind of point it out, again, that was another teachable moment. For us, you know, I think it's a chance to see our perspective. So this is a chance for them to for Paulina to point out some things, and for people to learn something. So it's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's about learning and understanding and accepting someone's perspective and experience, and what may or may not be, you know, considered disrespectful or questionable. Whew, Jesus. All right. So there's that on all of that. I need a sip of this water. I suddenly wish it was something something stronger.
You wish you had what I had.
Yes. But all that to say, like, you know, I really hope that the Days fans gives Paulina a chance.
I think they'll calm down. They'll calm down.
Let's hope so.
I mean,
let's hope so.
Yeah.
But
the other thing is, Jackée Harry is not doing anything other than being Jackée Harry.
Right.
So if you expect her to change for anybody, for any character, maybe you should be fast forwarding, because this is a woman who has not changed in 30 years. 30 plus years she had this career. She's not changing for anyone. And they wanted her for it.
Yes. Kelly said, I just wish it wasn't a thing. It wouldn't be a thing if people took accountability and would just, you know, start, you know, respecting, valuing, and loving people. then it wouldn't be a thing. But it's a thing because people continue to make it a thing and keep devaluing the lives of people of color. So that's why it's a thing.
Yep.
Anyway, welcome Theo. Him is back in town.
How do we
welcome
feel about how
Valerie.
he's doing?
Yay, Theo's back.
How do we feel about how he's doing? Because we had like 5 seconds with him, with this actor in the role the last time he was here, and I was really disappointed in that.
Now hopefully they're keeping him around a little longer.
Yeah,
I'm hoping because now he doesn't have the lady to go back to. He broke up with the girlfriend, so
and broke up with her.
So maybe he can stay in Salem a little longer this time.
Yay!
And I think we'll get better acquainted with the new Theo.
We'll see, maybe.
But shout out to Kyler Pettis though.
Aw.
See, Tony, you already started.
His eyes.
You're poking the bear, Tony. So
I do think this actor is doing a really good job of capturing Theo's very gentle
innocence
way,
and gentle,
innocence.
Yes,
and
like that word gentle.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, let's remember that Theo historically does have autism.
Yes,
so he has a certain way about him that is necessary to be told in adulthood. And I say gentle, like he is going to be the opposite of Aunt Paulina. He's going to be much more reserved. Even when he's with the babies, I'm like, can I hold them? Is this okay? Kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. So moving on from that storyline, and away from. Let's go to Gabby, Abigail, Gwen, Chad, Anna, Stephen, Kate, and Roman. Wow. Well, this storyline, Abigail is not Abigail. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening, but Abigail is not Abigail. And I'm almost kind of glad that Gabby just made the decision of no, there's something wrong. She's taking it too far. It's not about revenge. It's not about getting Gwen to actually tell the truth. So she's like, nope, I'm just going to cut this off. But I need Gwen to just kind of go, this ends here. I'm tired. I'm done. But she still kind of keeps it going with your wife's going to jail. She tied me up. I'm going to the police station to tell on her.
And the scene with Eli,
And it's like, girl, just calm down. Sorry, I messed up my hair. It's like, girl, calm down. Stop this feud. I think there's something internally happening to Abigail with everything that's going on, and she's not, regular Abigail. So
she's not the rational thinking Abigail that we have grown to know. But it has made for really great banter scenes between Marcy and Camila, and then Camila and Emily, and then Marcy and Emily, and then all three of them together. Yeah. I was thoroughly entertained by everything Marcy was basically involved in this week, because her and then who she was playing off of, her scene with Billy, that scene was really intense and really emotional and good to watch.
Yeah.
But Anna took the cake for me when Anna was she was
always.
Gwen was like, there's a box cutter just right over there. You can untie me. And she was like, I could do that. Okay. And then she just said, now this from 2016, this is a good one. And Gwen was like, what the heck? And she's like, you thought I was going to untie you? Tony's upstairs waiting for me, so we're going to have a fabulous dinner. You'll be fine. I was like, wow.
I was like, is she actually drunk?
I love that Anna has Abby's back.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. But Tuesday, 100%. I was wondering, I'm like, is she actually drunk?
Yeah.
It's like, stop in the name of love. I couldn't stop laughing.
She was doing everything to prevent, but everybody kept coming out of that tunnel.
I love that Anna's so loyal.
I was yelling so much in Tuesday's episode that I was politely told to shut up because there were other people in the house working.
Me World has Anna's quote. All I saw was a rat. A really large rat.
So that whole storyline with Abigail and Chad, and that's going to be very interesting. I, for the first time, felt bad for Gabby because she literally had no one to turn to except Jake. Right. And Jake is like, we're not friends. Why are you here? And I was like, oh, poor thing. Like, she really doesn't have anyone to go to.
Well, like you said, like, oh, go to your brother. I can't go to my brother.
You just committed a crime.
Yeah. It's like I had to come tell someone. And then like I feel like Jake has some feelings for Gabby, but they're not strong enough. Like I think he's very happy with Kate, but now I want Kate to stop
getting so defensive, and jealous
and worked up over. Like that is not what strong independent women do.
Nope.
Like you got Jake. You know how to keep Jake. You're Kate Roberts. Like, hold it down.
Yeah.
And
I can't believe it took Roman of all people to talk about the absurdity of Gabby's going after Jake. And the whole he really brought home. Like people were wondering, well, why are Gabby and Roman having? Where did this conversation come from? I think it was because you needed an outside perspective just to comment on the absurdity of this situation.
But I love that he defended Kate, but he also wasn't like, even though he was like, I don't know why she's with Jake, he was also like, I don't really know the guy, but I have nothing against him. So I like that Roman was loyal to Kate in that sense of like, oh, like I'm willing to hear you out.
Yeah.
I'll offer you my handkerchief, but you're not
that Ramada Wi-Fi.
My ex-wife, my friend, mother of my children.
You froze for a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Just a little bit. It's okay. It's all right.
Hotel, I told you.
It's all right. And then let's see. Okay, we talked about that. Okay, and that was that with that storyline. Let's move on to our tidbits because we have a few minutes before James Reynolds join us, so that he can give his perspective on this week as well because he was there. But before we move into tidbits, hey, you guys, don't forget, follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and give us a thumbs up to let us know that you like it. There's over 100 people in this room, so there should always be 100 likes. And also, we're on your favorite podcast station. Just search Dishin Days, subscribe, and listen to us while you're gallivanting throughout your day or vacuuming your house. I don't know. But we're there as well. Moving on to tidbits, we have Sammy, Rafe, Belle, Allie, Tripp, and Ava. Why nobody care that Charlie dead?
Because nobody cares.
Like nobody cares. Ava doesn't care. Tripp don't care. Allie don't care. Lucas don't care. Sammy don't care. Don't nobody care about Charlie Dale being dead. Everybody's like, whew, good riddance.
Everyone's relieved. Everyone feels safer. We don't have to worry about that guy anymore.
But
I also think this. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was also going to say, I also think this is Ava's guilt over what, and she sort of expressed that a little bit this week. This is also her guilt of like, okay, now he's out of sight, out of mind officially, and like I don't have to sort of deal with what he's done, but I also don't have to deal with the realization that I'm a part of what he's done and I've helped contribute to that. So, yeah.
And how many of you were yelling at the TV for Sammy to just like be honest with Belle?
I know, like twice.
I was like, Sammy, but see, that's so Sammy though. It's like, I'm not going to tell you the complete truth. Yeah. You're my sister. Fix this, and we'll be fine. Like, get me out of, like, it felt like very Devil Wears Prada Miranda Priestley when the thunderstorm was happening, and she's like, "This is your job.
Oh,
You're supposed to do this. Get me
sprinkling.
My God.
It's just a little,
just a little
sprinkle or something. I don't know. And there's a whole thunderstorm happening.
If Sammy needs minions, if she keeps expecting people to do her bidding this way.
Well, she does. Ridiculous. They're called her sister, her mom.
Her family. That's how she
sister's not having it. And the ironic thing is, in this one instance, because Charlie was also involved with Claire, Belle probably would have been 100% on Sammy's side if she had just told her the truth.
Right.
I thought of something. I may have to change my opinion of who did shot Charlie.
It's called Who Had Done Shot Charlie.
Who had done shot Charlie.
Who had done shot Charlie.
So there was a moment when Claire was going into Julie's place and Julie was looking at her iPad and was just like, and Julie kind of recounted that Sammy was arrested for murder. By the way, I don't think we saw that, did we? Did we actually see Sammy get arrested?
No, well, remember she was at the house. She had just came out of the bathroom. Rafe was there, and then she just ended up at Salem PD.
Oh, that's what. Oh, my bad.
Questioning,
okay.
And then whatever.
That was the questioning. Yeah, the arrest came after the evidence. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's not going anywhere.
But Claire's reaction to what Julie was saying about Sammy being arrested for shooting, she seemed not shocked. She seemed like, and then she kind of like her response to it. I just found out. I don't remember exactly what it said.
So I'm adding Claire to your list.
Yes, I think Claire might have did something to do with it,
or maybe she knows something.
Yeah. Well, okay. So then we know that Sammy has gun residue not only on her. She has gun residue all over her clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And she also, her fingerprints were on there. Belle was like, girl, what else? What else is going on? Lord. Yeah. So, I mean, but here's the thing though. It's too early for all fingers to be pointed at Sammy. Like, right. I think this is a big, I'm with you, Michael. I think this is a bigger conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still feel like we're going to be very surprised.
Now, I had originally said that it was Allie. I still believe that. Mm-hmm. So I've always believed that it was that while she may have pulled the trigger, I still stand by that. I believe multiple people were involved in the overall crime.
Another conversation kind of got my horns up when Sammy and Belle were talking about each other's daughters, and they got kind of feisty about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Belle made a comment about how she would always. There was a comment about defending her daughter or whatever, and then I'm like, oh, maybe. Would it be like if Claire did it and Sammy was covering for Belle, but she couldn't tell? No, Claire did it. Sammy's covering for Claire, but she can't tell Belle that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I started going all kinds of places with this.
I mean, that is a possibility, actually, now that you bring that up. Yeah. We know Sammy's covering for someone.
For someone, yeah.
Well, we'll continue watching that unfold. And please believe, everyone, your hosts of Dishin Days are on the case. Who had done Shark Charlie will be solved by the 4 people in this room. And last but not least, our last
Josh Mankiewicz.
Yes.
Who?
From Dateline joke, sorry.
The last tidbit is Sarah, Xander, Jack, Kristen, Chloe, Brady, and Rex. Oh Lord. Let's try to.
Who asked for Rex to come back?
I like Rex. I like Rex. No. I'm a Rex fan.
But can we just I feel like Sarah and Xander have been through enough. Like, do they need to go through anything else? And
at least let them have the wedding and then have shenanigans happen.
I thought about that. And then I started thinking back to, wait a minute. Kristen, for all that she's been through and stabbing Victor and all that, she didn't actually get a chance to take her revenge on Xander. And Kristen does not leave things undone. So while she may not have been seeking this opportunity,
it fell.
It falling into her lap. She's not going to ignore it either.
But also the fact that, remember, Sarah did try to kidnap Rachel.
Well, yeah, all of the history, the entire history was brought up in that moment between Sarah and Kristen. And all of the Xander history, all of the baby history, which was good because there was a lot there. And even I needed who did what to whose baby. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't think this was this wasn't premeditated revenge on Kristen's part. And I have to wonder if Kristen, if what was happening with Brady and Chloe wasn't happening, if Chloe wasn't in the picture and Kristen was just in jail, they were Kristen wouldn't have been motivated to do this. I don't think. I think she's back to traditional Kristen, we'll call her, just because of what's happening with Brady and Chloe. I think if that wasn't happening, we'd still have good Kristen.
Yeah, but she's only on her best behavior. But this is why I think that people underestimated the whole Kristen reform thing. Kristen is on her best behavior when things are going well for her. And so, of course, the ultimate, I finally have my baby, that's the ultimate thing for her. But that's not true reform. You have to be reformed when things are not going great.
Right. But she's also triggered because Chloe was basically like, I'm starting to feel something for Brady.
Yeah, Chloe is not helping herself here.
No.
At all.
Doesn't know she's not helping herself, but she's not.
And
she's helping herself to Brady.
I just wish that Ciara had went in, grabbed her dress, and said, "Yeah, girl, I'll keep your secret."
Yeah, exactly. On the way out, started dialing Brady. Yeah.
Right, and then and I also like and appreciate that they revisited Xander and Jack. I thought that was a great moment. And again, somebody else who doesn't have friends in Salem. One thing I want to say before we move on quickly, because we have James Reynolds waiting in the wings, and we still have some show to get through. John Del Rey said, "What if everybody that we suspect actually saw Charlie dead, but picked up the gun and shot him again?"
They were like, just to make sure.
Just to make sure.
Also, one last thing on Xander. What I've said this before, know your audience. No man over the age of 50 wants to be dragged out on a weeknight for a pub crawl.
It's his wedding.
I know, right?
No.
I know, right?
No, the look on his face said
Not
no.
unexpectedly, yeah.
Like, do you know how old I am? Do you know that I have work in the morning? It's no.
Yeah, it was like, but still
not
fun
at that
to watch.
hour, no.
Well, that was your week of days, and now we're in our fun part, which are our segments, and we're going to start with mine, which is Tony's official 3 Snaps Award.
Oh, snap!
All right, so listen, the 3 snaps. Yeah. I feel like, Michael, you have the clip, right?
Somewhere. Do you see it?
It is coming up. We see your whole entire computer right now, but I will say this. I just thought this was the best way to say, you know what? I'm not dealing with you. So check this clip out.
Sound.
There's no sound, Michael, but it's fine. So this part when...
Wait. Okay, here we go.
There you are. What the hell took so long? And why did you let Rafe arrest me?
How was I supposed to stop him, Sammy? Your fingerprints were on the gun that shot Charlie.
Doesn't mean I killed that son of a bitch.
Okay.
When you are over it and you are done and you don't want to say nothing else and you just collect your stuff
and you said you never
go.
touched the murder weapon, so you lied. And now, as promised, I quit.
Done. So for that, Martha
shocked.
Madison, Belle, you get Tony's official 3 Snaps Award.
Yes.
Snap.
Oh, snap. And now it's time for Caption That.
Here we go. All right, this week's oh my god. Okay, can you see Abigail on here?
Yes.
Okay, great. This week's Caption That photo comes courtesy of Marcy Miller, aka Abigail, and this week's caption goes to Heart to Act Stan Harder on Instagram with his caption, EJ was better in bed. She can have Chad.
Oh, wow. All right. And you know, Michael, we can see all your stuff, right?
Yeah,
all
that's
right.
fine.
Okay. And that was this week's Caption That. And now it's time for Those Were the Days.
Remix. Okay. Yes, this week we got a little bit of Abigail's obsession with her revenge on Gwen. So I'm taking you guys back to an original obsession of Abigail's, Mr. Austin Reed. You back to March 12th, 2012, when Abby was obsessed with Austin and told Carrie that she had slept with Austin. You guys remember the storyline? They didn't actually sleep together, but she sort of took advantage of Austin sort of passing out. And yes. Yeah. So I thought, considering we had with Abigail this week, I thought I'd bring it back a little bit. And this isn't the first time Abigail was obsessed with someone, but in a different way. So that was this week's.
Those were the days. And now it's time for It's a Gift.
since my co-hosts have been on a roll with their thirst traps, I thought I would follow suit this week because this was the first 30 seconds of Tuesday's episode.
Yes.
And I ran back to my room because I was not prepared to have this happen in the first 30 seconds. As Mr. Eli Grant so thoughtfully said, I work hard for this body. Why don't I show it off? So.
Yes.
There we go.
We support that.
We support that. And that was It's a Gift. And now what we are going, we will make sure to retweet Me World's Oshiz Moment of the Week. So you guys will get that. What we're going to do now is go ahead and bring in our guest, Mr. James Reynolds, and then we will come back after James and give you news and gossip and show you what's coming up on next week's episodes of Days of Our Lives. But now, I hope that he's ready because I've seen him like waiting in the wings this whole time. So ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome
patiently waiting
a friend of the show, Mr. James Reynolds, who you all know as Abe Carver. James?
Yes.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Some of my favorite people this afternoon.
Yes.
That's great to see you all.
It's great to
welcome.
We
cannot see you.
We can't see you yet.
Oh, you can't?
Oh,
is it me?
Is it you?
I don't
all of the technical difficulties.
I don't know. Should I fiddle with my picture?
It didn't.
Michael,
is your cam turned on?
Yeah, it is. But let me double check stuff here.
And video still blocked. Yeah, the video icon.
Make sure I've got everything going on here. Start video. There's a line.
Yes, there we go.
Oh,
you're out of space. That's why you're
James in space.
I'm
James Reynolds in outer space.
This is
Checking out Mars.
This is from the landing the other day. My niece was in charge of one of the teams that
nice.
got the lander up there, so we were all on it watching it, and that's what that is.
Oh, cool! Wow, congratulations
to her.
Yeah, it's left over from that, and the poker game, our monthly poker game too. I didn't change it. That's all. I'm gonna go back to the regular old messy office.
There we go.
There we
go. The prominently displayed Emmy.
Yes. The Emmy's in the background.
Yeah. Well, James, we love to have you on, and it's so good to see you. First of all,
I love it too. It's been too long.
It has been too long. Like we haven't chatted since the summer when
we did a quarantine check-in.
Yeah.
Oh, the wedding, right?
The wedding. Yeah.
It was the wedding.
Oh, the wedding. Yes. That's right. It's been quite a year.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it has. How have you been since we last chatted?
How fitting. Yes.
I've been actually good. I haven't. I'm one of those people that actually doesn't mind quarantine, and I don't mind masks, and so I'm fine with all that. I like Zoom, so there you go.
Nice.
So this is the you're like, listen,
James's
I'm fine.
Best life. Yeah,
I have everything here. I'm safe. We're good.
Yeah, roof over my head and food to eat. What else you want?
It's the simple things in life. Well, we wanted to bring you on because this week of Days was very interesting with the full introduction of Jackée Harry as Paulina. First of all, how has it been working with Jackée Harry? Because I mean, we can already feel the boldness and sassiness and fabulousnusness that she brings. Just right when the scene this week when she saw you in the square and she's like, "Woohoo, Abraham!"
Yeah.
So how has it been working with her?
It's been great. You know, she's she has a lot like her character is. She's very funny. In fact, I have a line coming up. Is it tomorrow? In one of the future scripts. It doesn't give anything away, so I can say it when I talk about how funny and charismatic she is, and that's really that's really what she is. And so it's great. And the crew loves it. And the cast loves it. I'm surprised Sal gets through any scene. she's really smitten. So it's great. It's been fun. And she's extremely professional.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful. And also very, very nice and friendly. So all of that together has brought, as many people have said, a breath of fresh air to us.
Yes, and she's definitely been a breath of fresh air since she arrived on the canvas.
Yes.
There's definitely been some interesting reviews so far of Paulina and her perspective of Salem. Just to dive right in,
yes,
because you were in the midst of that, and there were some times this week where I would look at your face to see how you were reacting, and I was like, I wonder what James Reynolds is thinking right now as all of this is playing
there
out.
There is Abe and there is James.
Yes. For you, seeing the script and seeing what the scenes and how everything was gonna play out, what were your initial thoughts of the things that Paulina was going to bring to light about Salem?
Yay.
Yes.
These are all the things we talk about anyway. So it's none of that's unusual. And in that, she was speaking basically truth and thoughts that we all have in conversations. And I think it's a great way to put it. Ron has a really a wonderful way of addressing issues that are controversial and wrapping them in the family environment that is Salem. We're all related in one way or another. Everybody in Salem is related. Blood relatives in one way or another. And I thought it was wonderful. I'll be curious later to see what you've been hearing. But I know reading tweets and all of that and the Instagram, people seem to have really enjoyed it. And it's one of those things that I think is very, very important. And I think it's the way daytime drama has to move in being more topical and while not losing that sensibility of intimacy and relationship that we have with our audience and the other characters. So no, I was very, very happy.
Yeah, and that we had quite a discussion about it today, and basically what we kind of came down to was that Paulina was coming in as someone with fresh eyes on Salem. Yes. Whereas most people who come into Salem, whether they're a new character or a character that they brought back, they have some very strong ties in Salem. So therefore, they kind of are very familiar with the city. But now we have this woman coming in being like, wait a minute, all these businesses are white owned. There's nobody here that can do my hair. Suddenly it's all the things that I think we have talked about at one point or another regarding, this town. And so it was just kind of nice to, now there was in the beginning, I told everyone else this, I clutched my pearls because I was like, oh, they're really like, like Paulina came in like, all right, y'all. So look, this is what's happening. This is what I've already noticed. But I appreciated that. And from what I was seeing and why I tweeted the other day, like, I'm not surprised at some of the comments. Depending on where you see comments, I dived into a lot of the Facebook groups. And a lot of people were just not happy with, Paulina and what she had to say and how she was playing the race card. And, they didn't want that in the soap because they needed an escape. And I was reading all of this, and that's when, and I talked to everyone else, I was like, I would like for James to come in and give his perspective. Someone who has, held down Salem for quite some time.
A long time.
A very long time. And just interested to see, to hear your perspective of where they're going with this, because we're all applauding it. And we think that it's time for someone to just kind of make aware in a very not so harsh way, but a very like this is what I see, kind of presentation of it. And I feel like Jackée is the perfect person because she mixes that like very bluntness with a softer side, with a bit of comedy to it, and the humor. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So that's where we've been with it so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you. It's curious. I don't have Facebook, so I'm not privy to those opinions, but I can imagine. It's like this whole. We always engage in what should we be presented in, not only in art, but you see it in sports, which is more obvious. Is it sport or is it politics? Is it this or is it that? And the shut up and dribble sort of comments. And entertainment is a whole different thing, because entertainment and education kind of come hand in hand. And what's going on in our society informs art, and art informs our society. And so when you present something that is important, extremely important, and you present it in a way that audiences can access it, then I think I think we're doing our duty when we do that. I think we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And one of the great things about the way Ron has structured this, and is that Paulina is humorous, and she does it out of goodness and out of kindness. She's not trying to shake. I mean, she's trying to shake people up in that they've been nestled in this world that the other world doesn't enter into. And I think that's important for us to remember too. But she's not trying to offend anybody. And you can't offend somebody when you're coming from purity, and you're coming from a way of saying these people deserve exactly the same opportunity that you have. Now, what they do with it, that's up to them.
Right.
But they deserve the opportunity to do something with their lives. And at this moment in this story, I think that's what it's saying.
Yeah.
James, one of the things I loved about those scenes is that when sort of Jackée was giving her perspective, through your acting, we saw Abe sort of wheels turning in his head.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I think you articulated or you portrayed that so brilliantly. And I love that at the end, it wasn't sorry. As my co-hosts know, I'm in a hotel for at the moment, so yeah, my internet's a little spotty.
In the Ramada,
Wi-Fi spot background.
CD1, yeah. No names, yeah. I won't name the hotel. But one of the things I loved is that at the end, you were sort of like, I'm willing to take this ride. And I think you were sort of speaking for the audience as a whole. And like, I'm not, I'm not rushing you over to the landlord to speak on your behalf, but I'm willing to take this ride with you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I think one of the things that with Abe is that these are issues he's thought about, and issues he's talked about. I'm sure with other people, probably Roman and several other people, and so nobody is unaware. Well, I won't say nobody, but very few people are unaware of what's going on here. But he's, as most politicians have to do, is he's walking this line. I mean, he's the mayor of a predominantly white city that he grew up in and is very well known and has been known for many, many years. We had the show years ago where Abe was a star football player at Salem U many years ago. So he's been, front and center in Salem for a long time. So he knows the city. He knows how to walk along the sidewalks of Salem. Yeah. And so he's thinking all the time, especially during this initial part. Well, I absolutely agree, but it all comes in how we do it and how we approach it. And Paulina doesn't have that concern. Her concern is completely different. It's a lot about money, but it's also she understands that what she's saying will impact going forward in the town. And so there are a lot of wheels turning in Abe, and I thank you for seeing that, and I appreciate that. And where do they go from here?
Yeah, exactly.
It's also very I look at it as a very city versus country kind of a thing, where, as you said, this is a small town, predominantly white. Abe has lived here forever. He knows how to walk the line, and she's coming in with a very city attitude to it. And so how do we make those mesh, so to speak?
Exactly. Well, and a very diverse city, because she's coming from Miami.
Yeah.
It's a very, very diverse city as well. So her interactions are with people from many cultures. And that gives you a different look. I mean, personally, I grew up in a small, predominantly white town. So, and I go back there periodically, and I do find it interesting that people's concerns in those towns are often about things that they don't really have any concern about. That, you know, there's a fear, for instance, of the other, and there's a fear of the immigrant and the terrorists and all those things. Well, that's really that interaction between those people and the ones they are afraid of is very limited. I mean, there really isn't a logical reason for that fear, but you find that difference. And now we all live in a very diverse community. And so according to them, we should all be walking around looking over our shoulder and where the hell, who's that? And but we don't. We're good with it. And I find that is it's not uniquely American, but that is one of our issues that we have to deal with right now.
Yeah. I'm looking at a comment in the chat where Kelly says, I've always believed that people oppress themselves no matter the situation. Anyone can do anything they want if they have a positive mindset and reach for it. Can't expect things to just fall in your lap. This is true to a certain extent, but I think that, and I've said this before, sometimes when certain people open their door, there are obstacles put in their way that they didn't put there, that are put by other people. So while you wake up with a positive mindset that you're going to go out there and get what you want, there are things put in place that don't allow certain people
you to do that.
To do that.
Everyone's not on the same playing field.
And there is always the assumption of what someone should be. I had this very interesting conversation with my sensei this week about how we need to be substituting the should for the could. And like there's an assumption of when you open the door and there's someone of another race or another ethnicity in front of you, there's this immediate assumption of what they should be based on what you think they are instead of what they could be. And I think that the reason I'm so excited for Jackée to be on the canvas is that she is a representation of what could be and what we have described her as, a self-made woman who is really the breadwinner of her family and just loves to spoil. And everyone has that one family member. This is not exclusive to the Black community. Everyone has that one family member who is loud, who tells you like it is. And that to me is universal.
Yeah.
Oh, it is universal, and most human qualities are. Most human qualities actually are universal. But you know, my comment to Kelly, and there are a lot of people who feel the way that she does, and I wish the world worked that way, but it doesn't. And so let's look at it historically. In the beginning, nobody chose to be a slave. That wasn't a choice.
Right.
So you know, to say there are possibilities out there for you, well, unfortunately, that was a possibility, but it wasn't one that was choice. Nobody chose that. Nobody chose Jim Crow. Nobody chose to sit in the back of a bus or a train, because if you want to do that, that's fine. I've sat in the back of a lot of buses and trains because I wanted to sit in the back and not have anybody bother me. But if I wanted to sit in the front, then I want to sit in the front. You know, nobody chose that. Nobody chose two people, one Black and one white, or one Asian and one white, up for the same job. And I've encountered this many times personally, but I've also encountered it anecdotally with others, usually the white person is going to get the job. And that's the reason they're going to get the job. There could be a story. It was a boyfriend of a friend of mine who was an attorney. And, he was a nice enough guy, but like too many people, he just didn't get it. And one of my son and I talk about this all the time with a lot of white people, when they meet you, will relate to their best Black friend or some other way they think is going to relate to you within the first 2 or 3 minutes of meeting you. And we talk about how that puts us on guard. We already know by that minute when they say, "Oh, my friend who's Black, by the way, does this or does that." and this lawyer was telling me about the two people that were up for a job in his law firm, and they both had similar credentials. I think they were both Harvard graduates, and one was a Black woman and one was a white man. And he just said, "Well, we went with the white man because we felt he'd fit in better." Well, there you go. Wow. And so those kind of obstacles are the kinds of things that you don't have any control over that. I mean, you go and you do the best you can all the time to eliminate as many of those problems as you can. But that's what you deal with. Yeah. That's the kind of thing you're dealing with. And today, what's different than when I was younger and growing up, the remnants of Jim Crow was there. The 65 Voting Rights Act had been passed. So that actually made me the most full citizen of anybody in the history of my family. To be truthful, that Voting Rights Act was what did it. And so but over the years, as things have gotten admittedly infinitely better, but it's all the quiet stuff. It's all the things that even the person who is committing the bigotry doesn't often know they are. It's very quiet. They're not aware of it. They can tell themselves that's not part of what their personality is. But when it comes time to make a decision, that decision is usually going to be based on race.
And again, it's a matter of how things change, and that, as you pointed out, the way that Ron is doing it starting this week, it's through a character who is not accusatory. She's not trying to be mean. She's not trying to be offensive. She's very comedic, just naturally, but she is also matter of fact. And this is, I think Paulina and Julie would have potential for you can tell me if this turns into spoiler territory, but I think they have a fantastic potential for a great dynamic.
Yes,
they're
I agree.
I see so much similarity between those two. And Paulina just provided a teachable moment for Julie this week, and it wasn't accusatory in my view, though some may see it that way, of course, but to me it was out of love and respect. When she found out, this is this is a family, this is Kim, this is his grandmother, it is my responsibility, and in fact, to show her, hey, that's not what we do.
Paulina hasn't blamed anybody. There's no blame there. Paulina hasn't played victim for anybody. And also Julie, who is very open-minded and is always ready to accept the criticism. I mean, she doesn't suffer fools lightly, but she's also there. She'll say, well, you know what? I didn't know that.
You don't know what you don't know.
I'll take that to heart.
And I feel like after the conversation that Eli and Lonnie had with Julie, I think that was very enlightening too. And one of the first moments for me that I realized that the show actually wanted to tackle this and really use that and the character as a teachable moment of like, listen, this has kind of been going on and this is why it's not okay. Even and again, it's like that was a tough conversation, but even the moments where humor is sprinkled, you know, in true Julie form, when she was getting ready for the wedding and she was like bossing Abe around, and Abe,
Right.
you know, you were just kind of looking at her like,
Yeah.
like, listen, I'm just trying to be helpful, but you're barking orders at me. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like those again are moments. And even this week which by the way, I love that moment at Julie's where, you know, we saw Eli and Lonnie and Abe and Valerie and Paulina and Julie and the twins. And for the first time in like a long time, I was like, wow, what a beautiful moment to see this family just kind of blossom and all come together for the christening of these twins, which thank God they let the twins happen, because I was like, if they don't let Lonnie have some babies by now, like, you know, what is going on? But it was such a beautiful moment and a beautiful thing to see. And again, sprinkled in with the teachable moment of when Paulina and Valerie were having the conversation about hair. And, you know, again, Paulina, you know, pointing out that like, well, girl, I don't know who would have did your hair here, because I don't know if there's anyone in Salem that can do, you know, what we do. And the touching, as soon as Julie went to touch Valerie's hair, Paulina like, you know, and so what, like, take us back to that scene being filmed, because I feel like that there has to be something in you, James, to see this and to have such a history with the show, to see this kind of unfolding and to see this particular scene. What was that like for you and for everyone else on
well,
set
it was rewarding
to do that?
Actually, it was rewarding. For me, it was a rewarding moment. I've had a number of conversations with a number of people, powers that be, that, you know, for a lot of years, that we need to go this way. And as you know, sometimes it happened, sometimes it happened for a minute, sometimes it took a little bit longer, but this has a much more feel of permanence to it. And I think you'll see this group of people for quite a long time being woven into the constant fabric of days, not something that's set off to the side and referred to just because they feel they have to silence some critics. This has commitment behind it. And I think that's a very, very important thing. It was for me, rewarding and lovely moment. And I did have that feeling. I sat there and looked around and went, wow, this is you know, I wish this has happened 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And I think it's very, very important. And I think it's happening in a way that other shows have not. Nighttime shows will approach things in this way on occasion, and the films will on occasion. But as far as daytime, I don't think we've done this in this particular way. And as I say, these people are family. Everybody that comes on the show, they're all intertwined. They're all tangled together. And I use the word tangled purposely because it's hard to figure out how to get untangled. And sometimes
people have tried to draw maps.
Get off my leg.
People have really tried to draw maps and family trees, and it's just like, wait, hold on. When you start talking about like who got divorced and who had affairs, it gets like, you know, instead of straight lines, it's like dot lines, and this, and like it's like, okay, I give up. I really just give up.
No, it's great, and you know, I look at Abe's family. I mean, there are a lot of Abe's family that we have yet to see or we haven't seen for a long time. You know,
Jonah, Brandon.
Yeah.
Well, he's got two sisters.
We get Jonah and Wendy back.
Jonah, yes, and
back.
We're pulling for
Wendy.
We're pulling for a place for Tony as Abe's long lost nephew.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Yeah, actually, Halen talked about, and I talked about that for a long time, and I mean, there are all these, particularly with the Damaras. I mean, God only knows. The only person that seems to have had more children out of wedlock than Then Stefano is Abe. Abe finds a new child every couple of years. There's a new one.
I know, right?
So it's it's a very interesting thing, fun thing. It's fun, but and it's nice, and it gives a lot of possibilities going forward.
Yeah. Do you feel like, over the years that it's been tough for Days in particular, because previous soaps have always tackled like hard hitting, like real life stories and situations, and have brought them onto the show. Do you think that Days the show was a little more hesitant to go in that direction because of having a very conservative fan base, that they're sometimes very hesitant to steer in the direction of like what's controversial or maybe uncomfortable topics to dive into?
Yeah, no, I think that was true. I think that was true a long time ago. I think that was true when I began. Days had the admirable history, actually, of having an interracial storyline in the 70s, the middle 70s, years before I came on. But in some ways, I was an extension of that story, because Abe's first girlfriend was Valerie Grant, who came back and is still there, with Vanessa Williams beautifully playing it. And so they took a big hit on that show for that story, but it was a move that was admirable, I think, and but I do think it created a little bit of paranoia where you go, and then you have so many people involved. You have the show, and you have Sony, and you have NBC, so a lot of different hands were mixing the dough, and some of those hands wanted the dough to look like this, and others wanted to look like this. So that is. I know where the hearts are and the minds are of Ken and Albert and Janet and the others. So the fact that the last 3 to 4 years have been radically different, and the show has not seemed to hesitate in taking on really difficult subjects and making it work. I think that's a sign of how we progress and the rest of society progresses.
Yeah,
I brought up during the show that the way it's going right now, where they're expanding the Black presence on the show is much, like we've all said, it's overdue. Like you've said, they've touched on it so many times over the years, but it's either they're brought on and then they're written out, or it only lasts a minute. When you, throughout the years, when you saw, like, for instance, I'll use the Will and Sunny relationship, like two gay characters treated like any other character, but there's still like there was still a lack of Black presence on the show. Nothing like you're doing now. Were you kind of, I don't want to say bothered, but were you seeing that and being like, okay, well, if you can do this, like if you're okay showing two guys having sex on daytime TV, like where's the our community? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. What line are we willing to cross, and what line are we not willing to cross? And it's always interesting to know whatever the motivations are. Sometimes I think I know, sometimes I'm pretty sure I don't. And no, you absolutely think about that.
It was interesting, as progressive as it seemed to be going, it never brought it to this place that we're at now.
Yeah. Well, once again, to credit Ron with knowing how to make that as seamless as possible, knowing how to bring those characters in and make them part of the tapestry, and with the cooperation of Ken and Albert again, because you have to have that cooperation to make it work. And so that's a very important aspect of that. But I think we still have a ways to go. We absolutely, I think, need to see more Hispanic characters. We slowly integrated a couple of Asian characters, but on a recurring basis. But I think it would be nice to have, for that presence to be enhanced. I think the show needs to look, not only our show, I'm not talking about our show alone. I think a lot of television, and especially daytime TV, I think, needs to look a little bit more like America. And you can do it in exactly the way we're doing it on Days of Our Lives, in which those people are part of that big family. I mean, a lot of our families, including mine, are multicultural and multiracial. A lot of our families in this country. And, let's reflect that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there was a point, a moment in Days where, they were building up the Hernandez family. We finally saw, Gabby and Rafe's mom and dad and brother. Unfortunately, they killed off one of the sisters, but it's daytime. Somebody has to die in the family. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of like, it just went away. And I was like, and it made me for the first time realize that there's not a predominantly, family of color that exists in Salem. There's a difference between representatives, and then there's like, actual, families, staying in the
where we see those generations.
And the implementation, if I can speak to this, as Latina myself, there's the implementation of traditions, I think.
Yes.
That I think traditions, and the Horton family has, the annual lighting of the Christmas tree that is just so near and dear to all of our hearts. And we have I can't think of anybody in Salem who's not on that tree at this point.
Right.
Well, they're all Hortons though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's like even people who get divorced stay on that tree at some. We know that. So, and Alice's Famous Donuts. It's like the implementation of traditions is so important. And we saw that when Eli and Lonnie got married, of the jumping of the broom, and how that is essential to that culture and to that wedding. And I talked earlier about how it's, at least personally for me as a Latina, it's always missed the mark because, we're seen, but our traditions are not cohesively woven in.
Yes. Well, and exactly. Rafe and Gabby are on the canvas on the show. And, but not a lot of attention is paid to their ethnicity. And you can do that. You can do that, and I'm not in charge of the bottom line, the budget. But if I were, let me get my hands on it.
You'll be like Oprah of Days. You get a raise. You get a raise. You get a raise.
Exactly. We wouldn't have time for sets. Sets.
Then I think there would be a problem. It's like, let's stay some soapy here.
Exactly. But I think if both of those characters, if there was a little more attention paid to their ethnicity, that would be a very nice thing. And it doesn't have to be a broad, extended family. But now we have the Carvers who've been there forever, and you always see Carver, Abe, but you always see other Carvers coming in, coming out, leaving, going, that sort of thing. So they're essentially the fourth family in Salem that you hear a lot about. Hortons, Brady's, the Carvers, the Damaris. So that's it. So the there's potential there for the Hernandezes, for instance, to be the fifth one. Have a basketball team.
Not for nothing, James, but if I have my math right, not counting characters who have gone in and out, I think you're the longest running African-American man in daytime history, if I have my math right.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's been that way for years. This is not new. This is not new. And, I feel a little uneasy about this comparison, but Christoph and I talked about that. And I said, Christoph, one day, one day you'll, own this. And the sad and unfortunate thing is that won't ever happen. And that's very sad in my mind. Yes. And I take that very personally, and I'm very honored by that. And I think it comes with a tremendous sense of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
as well. And hopefully I'm doing something to fulfill that responsibility. And my presence alone has helped people. I get a really huge thrill. I get a lot of young actors who are Black actors, white actors, Latinas, and who come up to me, and at some point along the way, Abe became an inspiration to them. And that's a really extraordinarily good feeling.
Yeah.
That is an extremely good feeling. And I can't tell you, as a young man or young actor, I never thought that would, I didn't even think about that. That was not something that over the last, 40 years, truthfully, and especially what's interesting now that I have reached my full maturity, chronologically, not necessarily emotionally. It's very, very nice. I mean, people, I walk up and say hi to people, and they're dropping things and doing all this, and they're fairly big names in the industry, and they're going, "Oh
Nice.
yeah, man, I became an actor because of you." Going, wow, that's pretty special.
Mhm.
Yeah.
James,
But I still want James. Sorry, you go ahead, Justin.
Go ahead, Justin.
I was going to say, we all know and love Abe to sort of be the moral center of Salem.
Yes.
Have you either wanted or lobbied for like a villainous turn from Abe?
Well, I get asked about that once in a while, and I think about it a lot because it's fun to play the villain. The villains are fun. Everybody has to admit that. But no, I certainly have been called the moral center of Salem for a long time, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. Although Abe does have his warts, and sometimes he will cut some corners and do that kind of thing. But that's who Abe is, and that's what has made Abe who he is. So I'm good with that, and I'm good with how he plays sometimes on the edges. He's not, he never goes to the dark side, but he'll go into the shadows a little bit to get something done. But it's always for a good reason. But no, I do hold out the fantasy of someday doing the double character thing where Abe's cousin or his brother or somebody comes in who is completely evil and nasty and has that aspect to him. And people begin to wonder, whoa, well, wait a minute, what's going on here with this guy?
Yeah. I think there are two things. I think there are two things that the audience may still be craving, but they're not yet aware of how much they're craving it. The first is what you just said, that Abe needs like a villainous counterpart to go toe to toe with and just bring out this like whole other side of Abe.
Yes.
The other, Abe needs a girlfriend.
Yes, he does.
He does.
You need to give Abe some love.
Permanent.
A lot of love.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, because poor Abe hasn't. I mean, poor Lexi was killed off. Which, by the way, I spoke of this recently. My favorite, and we were talking about going to the dark side, was when they had Lexi embrace her full Demera-ness.
Her full Demera.
And she had that red dress on with that is still my all-time favorite.
It was one of the iconic moments of Days of Our Lives, I think.
It really was.
Absolutely.
But I feel like in the love department, they dabbled with things like they dabbled with Abe and Maxine, who y'all know for the longest time I was lobbying to be her son. But they dabbled with that, and then for a moment, they almost paired you and Kayla together. And then that went away. So now I think we're all like, listen, Abe has healed. He's a mayor. He's strong. There's a strong foundation, family base. Now we need some lovely woman to come in and just have Abe scoop her up and say, yes, finally.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's always been one of the, the temporary status of Abe's love life has always been a problem, an issue. And there have been a lot of people sort of, that door's been swinging
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And pre-Lexi, gosh, there were tons of women in those days.
Yeah.
And post-Lexi, in fact, one I think I may have mentioned this. One summer I came in and literally every week there was a different love interest for Abe.
Oh,
and
wow.
all of them actually pretty well drawn characters and nice actors and well done. So it could have happened, but didn't. But then fortunately, Renee, I think that was pre-Renee, I believe, and showed up as Lexi. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right in how that happens. Yeah, Kayla, and then Valerie came in.
Yes,
then,
Valerie.
T-Boz came in, and
yes.
That was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
That
The
was
audience
fun.
really liked that. The audience liked that story.
So it was a good dynamic.
Yeah, it was. It was very interesting and fun to do.
Yeah.
And it would be, played around with that. Even Kate for a half a second. There was a little byplay. So there've always been some possibilities, and but we'll see.
Yeah.
Something might happen in the future, in the coming weeks and months.
Ooh, I hope so. And I hope, I really hope it's I really loved you and Valerie together.
Agreed.
I thought that was great. And then when they had her hightail it to DC, I was like, no, like there was such a like you and Vanessa have such great chemistry with each other, and it's such a great dynamic in the relationship. I was like, I suddenly felt like Tyra Banks. We were rooting for this, and then they they took it away. But James, before we keep, because we'll keep you on here. We'll forget we're doing the show. It turns into just like a conversation and stuff. I want to ask
for every other month.
Right. Like James Reynolds is coming in. It's time for him to come in. Exactly. And we will, because I know that there's so much to this storyline that we're going to have you come in and say like,
more
all
than
right,
happy. And you will love Jackée when you have her on. So
we can't wait for that.
And you'll love Cameron. I'm talking about all the new folks that we have. Cameron is wonderful.
Yes.
And I hope the audience is liking him. And as was Kyler. Kyler was just great. And once in a while we'll drop him a text. But all of them, and Precious, who has I don't know if the audience has seen Precious yet.
Not yet.
They have not yet. I think some people are aware that she's coming, but they haven't seen her yet.
Well, I don't think I'm talking out of school. I think enough people knows that I'm not talking out of school. But really, really good people who are very good at their craft, and it makes me excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm very happy to hear the direction that it's going in, and hear that like you guys are just having fun, with each other, and also with Cameron, who's now taken over the role of Theo. We saw him a little bit, but then he went back to Africa 24 hours later.
And then JJ joined him.
Yes, yeah, and so now it's going to be great to get to know him. But what I'm curious to know from you, James, is there, so fans are very loyal and they're very vocal, and a lot of people, which again, I still never understand this concept of skipping over, fast forwarding, not looking at certain storylines and characters. What would you like to encourage fans to do, or what would you suggest fans do, when it comes to the show and this particular storyline? What do you hope for with the fan base to do as far as like to not fast forward, to not overlook? How would you encourage them to
think
stick
you
with it?
enjoy it as a whole. We're bingers.
Yeah,
we'll put on a series, and we're the people that say, let's watch one more. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And Bridgerton was the last one. We started to watch it, and then let's watch one more. So, and then all of a sudden you find, because I wasn't sure I was going to like it, and I tend to like costume things, but it was a whole different kind of romance novel sort of thing that's not necessarily my wheelhouse, but
yeah.
But it's, you know, oh man, you got to watch this. And I think that's it, especially on a daytime show, because stories dovetail. And so if you miss out on a scene, you might miss out on something that is key to the story you are enjoying. You know, the best stories, I think, on the show, and the best stories I've been involved in, are the ones in which the entire cast, on one way or another, are also a part of. You know, maybe a very limited part, but they are part of that. They may be involved in a much broader story over here, but they're a part of this equally broad story over here. And the only way for you to know that is to look through it. Because sometimes, you know, like all actors, I'll get a script and I'll go through and look, hey, bullshit, hey, bullshit.
But it's like, where is Abe? Got it. It's the only thing I need to be concerned about.
But what I found over the years is, if I don't know what's going on in the rest of the show, I can't really give Abe justice. I can't do it, because he's referring. One of the first questions I ask of people, if I'm unaware, because if you're not in for a week or two, you don't know what's going, because you're not getting those other scripts, so you're not really sure what's going on. Is, you know, what happened here? What does this mean? What does this person do? So as an actor, I really have to be on top of what else is going on in the show. So it's not only Abe bullshit anymore, it's Abe and what the hell's going on? So I've learned that lesson many years ago, that you have to be aware of these other things that are going on that involve your story and involve the larger view, the larger picture.
Like Abe is not involved in the who done killed Charlie story, but I have a very strong feeling that he's going to be the one at the end of it saying, oh, what did you do?
Yes, exactly. And once in a while, you know, that's a great example, because during that story, Abe would come in and say, well, what's going on with this? He'd ask Eli, or he'd ask, you know, somebody else, what's going on with this, and how did this work, or do I have to go to Melinda Trask and you know, find out this. So you got to know, and I think that's very important.
Yes. Well, James, as always, we truly appreciate you coming on and shedding light and giving us insight to all that's happening. And, you know, I really hope that fans, you know, stick with this storyline and give this storyline a chance and an opportunity, because, you know, not only are there teachable moments there, but I think that you all are finally able to showcase, you know, a strong like foundation of, you know, actors of color to really, you know, move about in Salem as everyone else has. So I really hope people, you know, give you all the opportunity to showcase that and take something from it and learn from it and grow with it. So,
well, I think what we found over the last year is that more people are aware or woke, if I put it in quotes, than we thought. If you look at the protests over the summer, those were extraordinarily diverse events, and we have really never seen that. And so it's really quite important, but it's also going to be a fun, entertaining ride. So, you know, just stay with us, hang on tight as we go over the loops of the roller coaster.
Well, we are definitely looking forward to it. And of course, we can't wait to have you back, because I know that this journey is going to be a very interesting one. And thanks to Ron and the writers there for putting this on the canvas and for really showcasing you all and giving us an opportunity to see a different perspective.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, thanks NBC and Sony for buying in on it as well, and the fans. There is a lot of support out there.
And you have our support always.
Well, I always appreciate that. It's always great seeing you folks.
It's always
feel
great
like
seeing
I'm at
you
home
too.
when I see you all.
Oh, we appreciate that. I love having you on. It's always a joy to have you on.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, let us know when that next game show comes out.
Oh, I will for sure. Maybe, hopefully, the next game show that I'm on, I can actually win something. Because right now I'm just making great TV for everyone, and I'm like, this is great. But I want to win. Like, I want to go home with a good chunk of change. So
I understand. I've been on a few game shows, and I've often been finished number 2. Which is a devastating feeling.
Because that's this close. I'm this close. Like I'm further away from the goal. There's only been one game show that I actually won, but like no one has probably seen it. It was a Big Saturday Night on Game Show Network years ago. I think this was back in 2009. Yeah, and it was a live show. And I think the concept was they were going to like pull contestants in and out. But then they brought me and this other girl in, and we just stayed for the rest of the show. And I ended up winning over $14,000 on that show.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
great.
Yeah.
Buried the lead there.
I thought I was rich, and I had this game plan. I was like, I'm going to do a game show once a year and win. And that's how I'll always save money.
That's how you'll do it. Yeah.
That plan hasn't quite worked, but I still have high hope. I still have hope.
Well, there's a lot of game shows out there. I mean, there are more coming on all the time, you know.
Oh yeah.
And no, that was one of my strategies when I was an actor. I won't say a struggling actor, because fortunately I was never too horribly struggling, but
that's good.
But certainly needed a job now and then. And I won a couple game shows. That was great, because I won a car and a whole bunch of prizes. So you could take those and, sell them. That's what I did. I put in, those are in the days of the recycler.
The recycler?
The recycler was like Craigslist of the day. It was a newspaper. So back in the 70s and 80s, the recycler was the big LA advertising rag.
Yeah.
And that's where you put things for sale. If you wanted to buy a car, or you had an apartment, or you had all this stuff, you put it in the recycler. And I put my prizes in the recycler, and I sold a lot. I sold a lot of stuff. Yeah. Except for my lifetime supply of pre-mets, which I think I ended up eating like too many boxes. got rid of all the rest. You know that little noodle? It's a little tiny noodle.
Yeah, I have a problem with Girl Scout cookies.
Oh yeah.
Who doesn't have a problem with Girl Scout? I haven't bought it yet.
You have to buy them online now.
I'm gonna send you a link for my nieces. I have too many people who in my family who are selling.
Don't do it, because I'll end up buying a whole case of Dosey-Dos. Which sound great right about now. That sounds some Dosey-Dos sound really good. So
good gift. We can give away an Adam to people that have already got 10 boxes, but here's your birthday present.
There you go.
Because they do keep very well. Like, so it's like, you just put them in a nice bag with a little card and say, happy birthday, Merry Christmas.
Happy birthday. There you go.
Happy release from quarantine. Like, whatever.
Here's your vaccine day.
Happy stimulus check.
Yes.
There you go.
These are the new gifts that we will be getting. Oh, and by the way, James, I'm sorry. Before you leave, I have to say, my mother.
There we go.
My mom. I say this to everyone. My mom always texts me during the show because she's never in the chat room. My mom is like, I don't have time to figure all that out.
She's got a connection. Why should you?
Exactly. She's like, subscribe to the channel. Just send me the link. Like, but my mom wants to keep it very simple. But she wanted me to tell you. She said, tell James, Abe, he is doing a great job on Days. Love it. So that is
that's lovely.
Yes.
Seal of approval.
Yes.
Seal of approval.
And my mom is a new fan of Days, which is very interesting because I've been watching Days since I was 14.
I know you've been watching for years. So.
For years. And my mom has been coming to the fan events with me since I started when I was like 18, 19. So she would come every year. And the funny thing is, they thought she was the fan and I was tagging along.
Of course, yeah.
But it was the other way around. But she never tuned into the show until the lockdown and the quarantine happened. And then one day I get this call from her. She's like, "Have you watched Days this week?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." She's like, "Well, let me tell you, it is getting good." And like she's been hooked on it this entire. So now she watches this show. She's all in. So
that's
welcome.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So she's.
Oh man, that's great. That's great. She's a brand new watcher.
Brand new. When I was younger, she would watch All My Children, General Hospital.
Yeah.
Then she completely fell off soaps. And then just recently, she was like, "I'm at home now. Let me just tune into Days." And of course, I've been watching Days and going to the events. So she's familiar with half the cast because she's met them, but she's never seen them on the show. So now she's like, "Oh, it is so good," and this is what. And now she can't wait to tell me about it and have a discussion about it. And I watch late. She watches every day. She has her schedule. But I'm like, "I haven't seen it yet, Mom." She's like, "Oh, but just you wait. That Kristen girl this week."
I apologize for my landline.
Oh, it's totally fine.
Is that your landline or mine?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but we go over and then it starts. Yeah.
I know. We have that issue too, and I haven't gotten a message. I've gotten a lot of messages, but I don't know how to access the voicemail that comes with the phone. And we used to have an answering machine on it, but between the two, it always got gummed up, so I had to unplug it. But the line's still alive.
Gen Z is Gen Z. If there are any Gen Z listeners listening to us right now, they're listening to this conversation like, what are they talking about?
Machine.
Yeah.
What is
look out the window and see what the Tyrone is doing right now.
Oh my goodness!
I love my landline though because I grew up in Kansas where we have weather and tornadoes and things. And the one thing, no matter how much you criticize AT&T, the one thing that always worked was the telephone.
Yeah.
And you can't say that about cell phones.
This is true. I have a list of people who have landlines just in case that big earthquake happens.
Yep.
I know who to go to. I'm just driving straight over and going knock knock knock. Let me use your phone.
Yep. You're absolutely right. You learn these things over
Exactly.
time.
Exactly.
And I know how it works.
There you go.
A nephew just turned 12, and I think I'm right on this story. My wife is telling me that he saw a landline and wondered what is this for? And pulling out a cord. What is this? Well, people talk so weird.
Yeah, my nephew saw some of my old VHS tapes, and he said, "Dia, what big books you have." I was like, oh my god. Oh my god.
No one will understand the joys of a VHS tape when you want to watch a movie and you have to wait 5 minutes because you have to rewind it.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yes.
Or when it eats the tape. Randomly.
Yes.
You're like, crap.
And you got to get through the lines too.
Yeah.
Mind you, these are the people we now depend on to watch like old Days episodes from the 80s because where were they coming from? People who recorded on VHS.
Yeah.
I think I told you the story about the woman who would send me VHSs. This is again back in the 80s, and she would send literally every week a stack of VHSs. So I would know. So Abe would know, not me, but so Abe would know who was doing what in Salem and take care of it. And I would get a stack.
Oh,
so I would know what was going on.
That's just
and I didn't have the heart to tell her that, I had a script, so I had an idea.
She's like, I know already.
That's just like someone saying at one of the events that they would receive letters as to like if someone was kidnapped or if whatever was happening, fans would write in and say, "She's in the cave, go get her." And it's like they know, but they can't,
but
know.
not.
Yeah,
sort of, but not.
Oh,
no, that happens. You get that in the middle of the naked picture. So
Oh,
Ow.
just shifting to it's like, Polaroid. Oh boy. It's like, don't get me in trouble.
Yeah.
Polaroid.
Somewhere. Some were Polaroids, some were, there's less of that these days. The interesting thing is there's less of that these days when you expected more.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
We have gone down the rabbit hole, people.
Oh, yeah.
Polaroid.
well, James, again, thank you so much for coming on, and it's always such a joy, and sharing your insight. And I really wanted fans to take away, the importance of Paulina and what's happening on Days, and that it's not just them creating a character to come and play the race card. It's
no,
it's
and
more
I think
than
they'll
that.
see that. They'll see that. I mean, that's an important part of what we all are, but it's also a part of a bigger story, and they'll keep watching, folks. Keep watching and enjoy.
I'm going to be tuning in, and I'm also going to be figuring out how to get Terrence on the show. He has now evolved into a sassy assistant for Paulina. So we'll see. We'll see.
Now Terrence.
Oh, I've named my character now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
There for a minute.
You were like Terrence. Wait a minute. I saw Abe, that person that I have not seen Terrence on the script.
Going, wait a minute. Knew everybody, because we don't see each other very much anymore.
Yeah.
We don't see everybody on the show very much. So I thought, this guy.
It's like, wait a minute. Does he know who is? Now I know
this guy. I thought you were talking about Terrence Howard.
Oh boy.
No, I have for the longest time, it was just #MaxineSon. And then I told everyone, I actually years ago, I had a dream that I was on set. I was in my dressing room on Days. I gotten a role, and I had the script, and the character's name was Terrence. And so ever since then, I have been
Terrence has been the guy.
Terrence, yeah. Now, will that dream come true? I don't know, but that was a lovely dream that I had. I was like, I made it. After all these years. I woke up happy, feeling accomplished, and then I realized it was just a dream. But I was like, maybe it's foretelling of the future. I don't know when, but maybe.
A prophetic dream.
Yes, exactly. Look, even if I open that script and it says Terrence says stop, and that's the only line he has, I will be very happy with that. I will be able to check off on my list of things that I want to accomplish in life. Speaking role in Days of Our Lives, check.
Well, I think Paulina could use an assistant. That's actually a pretty good idea. She's a very high-powered woman who needs who's got a lot going on.
See, so you hear that, people? Like, so fans, do your work.
Flood those mailboxes.
Flood those mailboxes.
Letters are still red, by the way. Emails are red. Letters are red. They're all red.
So go ahead and just address yours to Ron, and just let him keep seeing that until he finally happens.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? We do a lot of things on the show that actually ultimately influence where things go.
Yeah.
So sometimes I probably won't tell you now what they have been over the years, but it can be done. It certainly can be done.
Well, we know that it was a long time. Well, a while back, Ron mentioned something about Jackée, and then all of a sudden, Jackae's on Days. So, which I've had so many people message me and say, I'm now tuning into Days because I'm a fan of Jackée.
Well, that's the idea.
Yeah.
It works.
It works. And they definitely should be tuning in because she's brought in such a great energy to the show. So
yes.
So nobody fast forward. Watch it
watch
take
the
it
show.
all in.
Don't fast forward, and watch the show. Especially watch the show of characters that are close to character. I mean, Abe is still the character of the Carver Horton bunch that knows most of the other players in town. So watch all those people that are close to Abe. Watch John and Marlena. Watch Roman. Watch Kate and Mary Beth, Kayla and Patch, and all those people. See what it's like. Sammy, and that will probably lead you close to the things that are going on with the Carvers.
Yeah. There you go. See, I always tell people, like, don't fast forward because you're gonna miss something in someone else's storyline, because everything takes a turn all of a sudden, and then you go, wait, how did they end up there? And it's like you fast forward,
should
so
have
you don't know.
Should have watched.
Should have been watching.
Exactly.
Well, and give our best to Lisa. Tell her that we said hello. And hopefully she's doing well, and
she's doing very well. She just finished an online play, a Zoom play of Little Women, which was fun for her to do, and she was very good in the role. And she was Aunt. Nice. Now I'm trying to remember the lines. I ran lines with her every day. I can't remember the name of the character, but it was Aunt something, and she was this nasty woman, which is very hard for Lisa to do, but she pulled it off admirably.
Because she's so sweet, so incredibly sweet. So, but I'm sure sometimes it's good for us nice people to play like those bad, nasty characters.
Love that.
Yeah,
we love that. Yes, absolutely. We all have our pent up anger you want to let out, the inner demon.
Yeah, exactly. And when you get to play someone like that, then it's great. It just releases all that out.
Exactly. You can go home refreshed.
Exactly. Well, tell her we said hello, and tell her we hope that she's doing well, and
she is.
We look forward to everything that's coming up for Abe and the rest of the family on the show, and I think it's going to be good.
It's going to be good. Yeah, and it's going to be good. It's going to be fun, and tell everybody keep watching.
Oh yes, I for sure. Y'all heard that from James Reynolds himself.
That's right.
Y'all keep watching.
That's right. I got police powers, so I could be listening in.
Exactly. All right, James. Well, until next time, we'll hopefully see you soon.
All right, folks. Good to see you all.
Hi, James. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Always good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care. See you guys. I'll reach this way. That's all. This is always the most difficult part about Zoom, because everybody's eventually got to take their finger.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is not,
There we go.
It's like, how do you get out of this thing?
Oh yeah, we've seen all that, so at least we know everybody else has a similar problem. Yeah, exactly. I'm well past that, fortunately. We see a lot of noses. Everybody's sort of wait a minute, or chins.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's like suddenly they're here, and then it's like, all right, bye,
yeah,
and it's like. And that's the last thing you see.
It's true. Well, you guys take care of yourself.
You too.
You too, James.
All right.
All right.
My wandering finger now.
Okay.
There we go. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, James. Take care.
There we go.
I love that. He's always so great and so fun to have.
That was great.
All right. Well, we still just got a little bit more show to do. So let's actually we're just gonna go to the promo. Let's just do the promo and we'll show you guys what's coming up next week on Days of Our Lives.
My fiance is missing.
It's my wedding day.
Actually, Sarah, it's my wedding day.
Ciara's alive!
I can't celebrate until she opens her eyes and says my name.
Oh gosh. Oh, Not another mask.
Not another mask.
When did she have time to do that?
Listen, it's Kristen and it's the Damaris. You know, it's just a scan. Like that's
someone on Twitter said that Kristen just has a closet full of masks of everybody. She just did the full city, and now anytime she needs to. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's what's coming up next week, you guys. Before we head out, I do want to remind you guys because this is happening next week. Get your tickets to the virtual Q&A with Spectrum Celebrity Events with Vanessa Williams. She will be on live next Saturday. Hosted by me. So make sure you go to spectrumcelebrityevents.com and just announce is Casey Moss, who you guys know as JJ Devereaux. He will be doing a virtual Q&A on April 10th with Spectrum as well. So make sure you go get your tickets. And now, before we officially go, Michael Mattis.
Yeah.
Tell the folks where they can find you and Bimby.
You can find me and Bimby on Instagram and Twitter at MLMattis. Hi, baby.
And Justin.
You guys can find me on Instagram at Justin Lee Hareld.
And Araceli.
You can find me on Twitter at TF323 Araceli.
And you can find all of us on social media, Facebook Dishin Days Show, Instagram Dishin Days and _Dishin Days on the Twitter. And you can find little old me on all social media platforms at Lounging with Tony. We want to send a special thank you to James Reynolds for coming in and shedding light on the things that happened this week. And we do hope that you all will stick with this storyline and not fast forward because it sounds like it's going to be an incredible journey. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our show. And we'll be back next week for another full dish of next week's episodes of NBC's #1 award-winning soap opera, Days of Our Lives. You guys have a wonderful week. Have a safe week. Enjoy. And we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
And now Araceli can go and answer her phone. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, my God.